Welcome to Grimm English Channel. Today we will listen to the story The Traveling Musicians by the brothers Grimm. This delightful tale follows four animals, a donkey, dog, cat, and rooster, who, no longer wanted by their owners, decide to start new lives as musicians in Bremen. But along the way, they find an unexpected adventure and discover the strength of teamwork and friendship. This will be an adapted version, with familiar and simple English language, so that we can easily listen and feel the story together. At the end of each chapter, we will learn and study some interesting vocabulary in the story. And right now, we will listen and learn English together through the story The Traveling Musicians. Chapter 1. The Journey Begins. Once upon a time, in a small village, there was a hard-working farmer who owned an old donkey. The donkey had been a loyal servant to the farmer for many years. He had carried heavy loads of firewood, sacks of grain, and other goods, always doing his best to help. But now, the donkey was growing old and tired. His back hurt and his legs were weak. He could no longer work as hard as he used to, and the farmer was no longer pleased with him. The farmer began to think that it was no longer useful to keep the donkey. "He is of no use to me anymore," he thought to himself. "Maybe it's time to let him go." The donkey overheard the farmer's words and understood that his life was in danger. He knew that if he stayed, his days would be numbered, so, one early morning before the sun had fully risen, the donkey quietly left the farm. He decided to go to the city of Bremen, where he hoped to start a new life as a musician. "I still have a strong voice," he thought. "I can sing and become a town musician." The donkey trotted along the road feeling a mix of sadness and hope. He was sad to leave his home, but excited about the idea of becoming a musician. As he traveled further down the path, he spotted a dog lying by the roadside. The dog looked tired and was panting heavily. Curious, the donkey stopped and asked, "What's the matter, my friend? You look exhausted." The dog lifted his head and sighed. "I am old and weak," he replied. "I used to help my master hunt, but now I cannot run as fast as I used to. My master wanted to get rid of me, so I ran away. But now I don't know what to do or where to go." The donkey felt sorry for the dog. "Well," he said kindly, "I am also old, but I have a plan. I am going to Bremen to become a musician. Why don't you join me? We can sing together and earn our living in the city." The dog's ears perked up, and he wagged his tail. "That's a wonderful idea," he exclaimed. "I will come with you." So, the donkey and the dog set off together, feeling hopeful about their new adventure. As they continued their journey, they soon came across a cat sitting in the middle of the road. The cat looked very sad with a drooping tail and tired eyes. "What's wrong, dear cat?" the donkey asked. "Why do you look so unhappy?" The cat sighed deeply. "I am getting old," she said. "I used to catch mice for my mistress, but now I am slow and tired. My mistress wanted to drown me because she thought I was useless. I managed to escape, but I don't know where to go or how to survive." The donkey, who was kind-hearted, immediately thought of a solution. "Why not join us?" he suggested. "We are going to Bremen to become musicians. You have a beautiful voice, and you can sing along with us. We'll make a fine band." The cat's eyes brightened, and she nodded eagerly. "Yes, I will come with you," she said, feeling hopeful for the first time in days. Now there were 3 of them on the road to Bremen. The trio walked happily down the road, chatting and planning their musical careers. Before long, they heard a loud noise coming from a nearby farmyard. It was a rooster, perched high on a gate, crowing as loud as he could. The rooster seemed to be shouting for help. The donkey called out to him, "Why are you crowing so loudly, friend? You sound worried." The rooster looked down at them with a frightened expression. "Tomorrow is a holiday, and my mistress plans to cook me for dinner," he cried. "I am crowing as loud as I can, hoping someone will help me escape." The donkey, dog, and cat looked at each other, and then back at the rooster. "Come with us to Bremen," the donkey said. "We are going to become musicians. Your voice is loud and strong, and you would be a great addition to our band." The rooster flapped his wings with excitement. "That sounds like a splendid idea," he exclaimed. "I will come with you, and together we will make wonderful music." And so the rooster joined the group, making it 4 travelers heading toward Bremen. The donkey, the dog, the cat, and the rooster walked side by side, feeling more hopeful with each step. As they traveled, they practiced their music. The donkey brayed, the dog barked, the cat meowed, and the rooster crowed. It wasn't the most pleasant sound, but they were happy and full of dreams. The sun was beginning to set, and the sky turned a soft orange. The 4 animals realized that they wouldn't reach Bremen by nightfall, so they decided to look for a place to rest. They found a small clearing in the forest and agreed to spend the night there. The donkey and the dog lay down under a big tree, the cat climbed up into the branches, and the rooster perched himself on the highest branch, thinking it was the safest place. Before falling asleep, the rooster gazed at the stars and thought about their journey. "We may be old and no longer needed by our masters," he whispered to himself, "but together we can create something new." With that hopeful thought, the 4 friends fell asleep, dreaming of the city of Bremen and the adventures that awaited them as musicians. Before continuing to the next part, let's learn some new vocabulary appeared in Chapter 1. The first word to learn is faithful. Faithful means always loyal and reliable. For example, the donkey was a faithful servant to the farmer for many years. Next, we have servant. Servant refers to a person or animal that works for another. For example, the donkey had worked as a servant, carrying heavy loads for the farmer. Another word is tired. Tired means feeling the need to rest. For example, the donkey was tired and could not work like before. The fourth word is escape. Escape means to get away from a place or danger. For example, the donkey decided to escape before the farmer got rid of him. Now let's look at musician. Musician is a person who plays or sings music. For example, the donkey hoped to become a musician in Bremen. Moving on to lonely. Lonely means feeling sad because of being alone. For example, the dog felt lonely after running away from his master. The next word is hungry. Hungry means needing food. For example, the cat was hungry and did not know where to find food. Now we have join. Join means to come together or become chapter of a group. For example, the cat decided to join the donkey and the dog on their journey. Let's also discuss perch. Perch means to sit or rest on something high. For example, the rooster perched on the donkey's back as they walked. Finally, we have adventure. Adventure refers to an exciting journey or experience. For example, the 4 animals set off together on a new adventure. Chapter 2. A New Plan. The donkey, the dog, the cat, and the rooster woke up early the next morning. The sun was just beginning to rise, painting the sky with soft shades of pink and orange. The 4 friends were filled with energy and hope. They stretched, shook off the leaves from the forest floor, and continued their journey toward Bremen. They were excited about becoming musicians in the big city. As they walked through the forest, the rooster, who was perched on the donkey's back, noticed something unusual in the distance. "Wait a moment," he called out. "I see a light shining far away. Maybe there's a house nearby where we can rest and get some food." The donkey stopped and looked in the direction the rooster was pointing. Sure enough, there was a faint light flickering between the trees. "Let's go and see what it is," suggested the donkey. The others agreed, feeling hopeful about finding a more comfortable place to stay. The 4 friends made their way through the thick forest, following the light. As they got closer, they saw that the light was coming from a small house. It was not an ordinary house, though. Inside, they could see a group of rough-looking men sitting around a large wooden table. The men were laughing loudly, drinking, and enjoying a feast with plenty of food and drink. The animals crept closer to the window to get a better look. The donkey, being the tallest, stood on his hind legs and peeked inside. "What do you see?" whispered the dog. The donkey's eyes widened as he took in the scene. "There's a table full of food," he whispered back. "Bread, meat, cheese, and even a big jug of wine. But there's a problem. There are robbers inside. They seem dangerous." The cat's eyes sparkled at the mention of food, but she was also cautious. "We must be careful," she said. "But we can't leave without trying to get something to eat. We are hungry, and the robbers have plenty to spare." The 4 friends huddled together, thinking of a plan to scare the robbers away and take the food for themselves. The donkey, who was the wisest, said, We must make as much noise as we can. If we work together, we can make the robbers believe that a terrible monster is attacking them." The others nodded, eager to try the plan. "I will start by braying loudly," said the donkey. "Then the dog will bark, the cat will meow, and the rooster will crow. We'll all make noise at the same time, and hopefully it will be enough to frighten the robbers." The animals quickly got into position. The donkey stood under the window, the dog jumped on the donkey's back, the cat climbed onto the dog's shoulders, and the rooster perched on the cat's head. They all took a deep breath, and at a signal from the donkey, they began to make the loudest noise they could. The donkey brayed, "Hee-haw, hee-haw." The dog barked, "Woof, woof." The cat meowed, "Meow, meow." And the rooster crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo." The sound was deafening, echoing through the forest like a storm. The animals then burst through the window together, breaking the glass with a loud crash. The robbers were shocked and terrified. They had never heard such a strange and loud noise before. In their panic, they thought that evil spirits or monsters had come to attack them. Without a second thought, they dropped their food, spilled their drinks, and ran out of the house as fast as they could. The four friends laughed as they watched the robbers flee into the dark forest. "We did it," cried the donkey. "The house is ours now." Feeling proud of their teamwork, the animals quickly gathered around the table and began to eat. The bread was warm, the meat was tender, and the cheese was rich and creamy. They drank water from a barrel in the corner and enjoyed every bite, feeling grateful for their unexpected feast. Once they had eaten their fill, the animals decided it was time to rest. The donkey found a comfortable pile of straw in the yard and lay down. The dog curled up on a soft mat behind the door. The cat rolled herself into a ball by the warm fireplace, and the rooster perched on a beam near the ceiling. As they settled into their new sleeping spots, the animals felt safe and satisfied. "This is even better than we imagined," said the cat, purring softly. "Maybe we don't need to go to Bremen after all. Let's stay here for tonight and think about it in the morning," agreed the rooster, who was already feeling sleepy. The four friends soon fell into a deep sleep, dreaming of their success and the delicious food they had enjoyed. The house was quiet, and all seemed peaceful. However, the robbers who were hiding in the forest started to regret running away so quickly. "Maybe it wasn't a monster," one of the robbers whispered to the others. "Perhaps we got scared for no reason. I will go back and check," he offered bravely. The other robbers nodded, so the bravest robber made his way back to the house. He was careful not to make any noise as he approached the door. Peeking inside, he saw that everything was dark and quiet. "It's safe," he thought to himself, as he stepped into the kitchen to look for the food they had left behind. The four animals were still sleeping soundly, but the cat heard the robber's footsteps. She opened one eye, ready to defend her new home. The night wasn't over, and a new surprise awaited the robber. Now let's take a break and learn some new words that appeared in Chapter 2. The first word to learn is forest. Forest refers to a large area filled with trees. For example, the four animals walked through the forest looking for shelter. Next, we have light. Light is the brightness that comes from a source like the sun or a lamp. For example, the rooster saw a light shining in the distance. Another word is robber. Robber refers to a person who steals from others. For example, the animals discovered that the house was full of robbers. The fourth word is feast. Feast means a large, special meal. For example, the robbers were enjoying a feast with lots of food and drink. Now let's look at brave. Brave means not afraid of danger. For example, the animals were brave and came up with a plan to scare the robbers. Moving on to noise. Noise is a loud or unpleasant sound. For example, the animals made a loud noise to frighten the robbers away. The next word is plan. Plan refers to a set of actions to achieve something. For example, the donkey suggested a plan to scare away the robbers. Now we have dangerous. Dangerous means able to cause harm or injury. For example, the cat warned that the robbers could be dangerous. Let's also discuss position. Position is the place where something or someone is located. For example, the animals got into position outside the window before making noise. Finally, we have success. Success means the achievement of a goal. For example, The animals' plan was a success, and the robbers ran away. Chapter 3. The Robbers Return and the Happy Ending. As the bravest robber quietly entered the dark house, he tiptoed into the kitchen. He was still a bit nervous, but he was determined to see what had scared them away. He hoped to find the food they had left behind, especially the big piece of meat he had been eating earlier. The house seemed empty and silent. The robber began to feel more confident. He groped around in the darkness, trying to find a match to light a candle. His hand soon touched something soft and warm. It was the cat, who had been sleeping near the warm ashes of the fire. Mistaking the cat's glowing eyes for live coals, the robber tried to use them to light the match. But the cat was not pleased. She let out a loud, angry hiss, and then leaped up, scratching the robber's face with her sharp claws. The robber cried out in pain and stumbled backward. What a terrible creature, he thought as he tried to run away. The robber dashed toward the back door, but before he could reach it, he stepped on the dog's tail. The dog, startled from his sleep, jumped up and bit the robber's leg. The robber yelped in surprise and fear. "Who's attacking me now?" he shouted as he tried to escape. In his rush to get out of the house, the robber ran into the yard, hoping to find a safer way out. But waiting there was the donkey, who had been woken up by the noise. As the robber passed by, the donkey gave him a strong kick with his hind legs. "Ouch!" the robber screamed, holding his side. By now, the commotion had reached the rooster, who was perched high on a beam. He flapped his wings and crowed as loudly as he could. "Cock-a-doodle-doo!" The loud noise echoed through the night, making it sound like the house was filled with fierce monsters. Terrified and in pain, the robber finally managed to run out of the house and back to the forest. He was out of breath and trembling by the time he reached his fellow robbers, who were anxiously waiting for him. "What happened?" they asked, curious and scared. The robber, still panting, told them a wild story. "It was awful," he began. "Inside the house, I tried to light a match, but a witch with glowing eyes scratched my face. Then, as I was trying to leave, a man with a knife in his hand stabbed my leg. Outside, a huge black monster hit me with a club, and then the devil himself screamed from the roof, telling them to throw me up there." The other robbers were horrified by the story. "We cannot go back there," one of them said, shaking his head. "That house is full of evil spirits." The robbers agreed that it was too dangerous to return. They gathered their things and ran deeper into the forest, never to return to the house again. Meanwhile, inside the house, the four animal friends were enjoying a quiet moment of victory. The cat licked her paws with satisfaction, the dog wagged his tail proudly, the donkey shook his head in approval, and the rooster fluffed his feathers happily. "Looks like we scared them off for good," the dog said, still feeling proud of his bite. "I think this house suits us perfectly," added the cat, curling up by the warm ashes again. "We have a roof over our heads, plenty of space, and maybe even more food," said the donkey with a smile. "What more could we ask for?" The rooster crowed cheerfully. "We may not be in Bremen, but we are still musicians. Our music might be loud, but it certainly worked." The four animals laughed together, pleased with their clever plan. They decided that there was no need to go to Bremen after all. The house was cozy, warm, and safe, everything they could have wished for. Over the next few days, the animals made the house truly their own. The donkey found a comfortable spot near a pile of hay in the yard where he could rest his old bones. The dog made himself a bed near the door, always ready to guard their home. The cat enjoyed the soft rug by the fireplace, while the rooster perched on the roof, keeping an eye on the surroundings. The days passed peacefully, with the four friends living happily together. They sang their music every morning, celebrating their new home and the joy of being free. Although they never reached Bremen, they found something even better: friendship, safety, and a place where they could grow old together. One evening, as the sun was setting, the rooster looked out over the forest and smiled. "We may not be young anymore," he said, "but we've found the perfect home. And who would have thought that an old donkey, a tired dog, a lazy cat, and a noisy rooster could become such good friends?" "Yes," agreed the donkey. "Sometimes when things seem to be going wrong, life surprises us with something good." The dog, feeling warm and happy, added, and as long as we have each other, we'll always find a way. The cat, half asleep by the fire, purred softly and said, "This is the happiest I've been in a long time." The animals were content, knowing they had found a place where they truly belonged, and so they lived in the house for the rest of their days, enjoying the warmth of friendship and the music of their hearts. And if you listen closely, you might still hear the donkey's bray, the dog's bark, the cat's meow, and the rooster's crow echoing through the forest, reminders of the brave and clever Bremen town musicians who found happiness together. It's the end of the story. We will once again learn together some other new vocabulary in the story. The first word to learn is return. Return means to come back to a place. For example, the robber decided to return to the house to see what was happening. Next, we have match. Match is a small stick that produces fire when struck. For example, the robber searched for a match to light a candle in the dark room. Another word is scratch. Scratch means to cut or damage the skin with nails or claws. For example, the cat scratched the robber's face when he tried to touch her. The fourth word is crow. Crow means to make the loud call that roosters make. For example, the rooster crowed loudly, adding to the noise in the house. Now, let's look at afraid. Afraid means feeling fear or being scared. For example, the robber was afraid after being attacked by the animals. Moving on to flee. Flee means to run away from danger. For example, the robbers decided to flee into the forest, afraid to return. The next word is satisfied. Satisfied means happy with what has been done or achieved. For example, the animals were satisfied with their new home in the robber's house. Now, we have safe. Safe means protected from danger or harm. For example, the house felt safe and the animals decided to stay there. Let's also discuss together. Together means with each other or in the same place. For example, the 4 animals were happy living together in their new home. Finally, we have celebrate. Celebrate means to do something special for a happy event. For example, the animals celebrated their victory with a cheerful song.